Welcome back to the Unreal Press podcast, the internet's first and foremost podcast discussing online culture, internet fiction, and everything from 4chan that's actually good. And today, James Craig is here to tell me about a book that sucks. James, what's the book?
The book is Shadow of the Conqueror by Shad M. Brooks. Now, before I get into that, I do want to ask you something. Do you hate the traditional publishing industry?
I mean, hate's a strong word, but personally I consider them to be beneath contempt.
As aspiring authors ourselves, or authors who simply aren't as successful as we'd like to be, now you kind of want to support other independent authors, right?
I mean, lit is the biggest bucket of crap since, somebody invented crab sticks, but yeah, totally, I want to support indie creators.
Yeah, and, there are some big-name YouTubers that want to make a change. They've been making their money grifting about how bad Hollywood is. A few of them have gotten into the creating game and they're writing stories. Sounds like a good thing to support, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, when you say that, I think, yeah, totally. But then I realize the guy has like 1 million more subscribers than I do, and he's like fucking Onision and Lele Pons.
Yeah.
And my desire to spend money on their products goes to fuck all.
Well, it sort of makes a statement. However, that was simply my thought process when I picked up a copy of Shadow of the Conqueror. I wanted it to be good because I think Shad makes pretty funny videos. I like him as a YouTuber. He's a good entertainer. He is not a good writer, though.
No, there's a very big difference between being entertaining in prose and being entertaining on video. Frankly, I'm both, but most people aren't. But tell me why he sucks, though.
At a high level, he has what I would call, oh shit, I'm only ever going to write 2 books in my entire life. I better cram all my ideas into this book syndrome. Have you ever encountered that before?
I have. I mean, the most poignant example is, as always, Ruby. But, in terms of fiction, yeah, I'd probably say Artemis Fowl, except the book series is 9 fucking books long, and the first one isn't even that good. It's got 300 ideas on, fairies, Ireland, more Irish apologism, I guess. Organized crime, Russians, global warming. All the things that were not cool in 2007, but were tolerable. Also, Owen Cofer isn't a particularly good writer, so it just doesn't come together.
So, there are a number of basic things that other people have brought up that Shad did well and things that Shad did badly, and then some very questionable ways that things were combined, and yada, yada, yada. But I've come today with a conspiracy theory. This started as Minecraft fan fiction.
I believe it, but go on.
Now, given your book, I think you're going to be open to the notion that a story can start as fan fiction and not end as fan fiction. That you can put enough new content into it that it's no longer quite recognizable.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Okay, that's not a good example, in terms of technical writing, but it's a great example of something that's not fan fiction anymore.
Shadow of the Conqueror takes place in a floating islands biome of Minecraft. Literally,
this nigga's just playing Skyblock.
Pretty much.
Is that all he's doing?
The world is flat, and all the islands float because the cores of the islands and continents are made out of Darkstone, which means if you just put it in place, it just locks in place and floats there. All right? And the only way to get around is to construct flying machines that basically use this immovable rock and some pistons and some light to glide across flat. It's literally, I'm telling you, man, it's Minecraft flying machines to get from one island to the next.
Okay.
What's more?
So the Darkstone, it just has, all the inertia. It just doesn't fucking move.
Yeah, if Darkstone isn't in light, it just locks into a global coordinate system, basically. And there is this weird thing about the world that no matter where you are, the sun is always in the same position. Even though, if you fall through the void at the bottom, you actually come through at the top. It's a looping flat world filled with floating islands. But no matter where you are, the sun's in the correct position because the sun is basically in a skybox. Also, the main enemy that everyone fights, when not murdering each other, is basically zombie villagers who are left in the dark too long.
This is like Skyblock fan fiction, but it's in that uncanny valley of not fan fiction, but it also doesn't have any original ideas from what I'm getting.
Oh, it has original ideas. It's just those are the bad ideas.
Well, I mean, Skyblock wasn't like a good prose idea to begin with, so please disappoint me.
The original magic system that Shad included, he shouldn't have, to put simply. This book would have been significantly better without it. If Dalen Dameron, Dalus the Conqueror, aka Stalin in fantasy form, was just a master of the sword running around with a magic unbreakable sword, sharpness 5, unbreaking 5 sword, it would have been significantly better. Instead, we have a soft magic system pretending to be a hard magic system, because he has 4 what are called light bonds, which means he can double an aspect of himself up to 4 times for, times 16 into an abstract concept.
That's not how any of those things actually work.
It is a horrible system, dude. He can bond his mass to increase his mass. That one actually works differently for no good reason. The first bond is a 10 times difference, and then it's double.
Where does the mass come from?
Magic. It also, when he adds mass, it comes in at rest. But if he removes mass, he maintains his momentum. So if he adds mass to himself, because by the way, he can also have his mass by the same magic, adding the mass slows him down in freefall because it has to accelerate the new mass. But okay, so picking up after a slight technical issue there, the mass bonding literally was just contrived so that he doesn't die when he falls off the side of a continent. Like, there is no logical reason for it working that way, that adding the mass reduces his momentum, but removing his mass maintains his momentum. It's literally just so that he has a built-in magic parachute.
Man, I might be a high school dropout, a fact of which I am proud of, because actually passing high school, I think, is the bigger L. But I do know that's not actually how physics fucking works. That's like the most autistic, contrived ass pull I've heard since, somebody changed the rules of the card game I was playing halfway through, and that person wasn't me.
Sorry, it gets worse. So if he does a 16 times bond to remove his mass, he actually hits 0, even though that's not, 1/16th. It just actually goes to 0, and he becomes a ghost. All his clothes fell off of him. And then when he ended the magic, because his feet were interfering with the dirt he had been standing on, boom, all of a sudden 2 objects of mass are trying to occupy the same space, and he blows up.
This is
let's forget that air has mass, and air would have done the same thing to his chest.
Well, you see, in Minecraft, air doesn't have mass. It doesn't occupy an item slot.
Maybe that is further evidence to the Minecraft hypothesis. But don't worry that he blew his legs off, because he can just increase his healing rate by 16, and that lets you regrow missing limbs. Also, his healing magic begins automatically. Like, he literally can't die, because even if he gets injured, his cells will automatically start healing. So he's also
Does he have to have a full hunger bar to start healing?
This is he doesn't need to eat. He has a friend that makes cinnamon rolls for him to eat out of magic.
This is like the most Mary Sue thing, but also like exactly what I'd expect Shad to write if Shad wrote something that wasn't good.
Oh, sorry. You think he's a Mary Sue? Dude, no. You see, he's just the best swordsman in the entire world. He just has a unique power system because, he has 4 bonds and everyone else only has 3, don't you know? He is also a master tactician. He managed to regenerate his youth. That's totally normal. And he is also a master sun forger, a master engineer, and a master pedophile, apparently. So he's perfect at everything. He's also one of the fastest racers of skyships in the world, and he's a master duelist. I don't think I missed anything. So that's totally not a Mary Sue.
No, that's completely normal. I mean, obviously, some people dislike him or he has like irrelevant character flaws. He cannot possibly be a Mary Sue. That would be ridiculous and an insult to Shad's creative integrity.
Yes, you know he's not a Mary Sue because every time he gets called out on his sociopathy, he breaks down crying and wailing. And he has these huge emotionally incontinent outbursts that don't actually change his behavior. He still sodomizes people. And then he just whines for forgiveness.
Onision with superpowers.
By the way, I don't think I explained abstract concepts for his magic system very well. He can bond his grip strength. And that lets him SpiderMan climb walls.
I thought that would mean he would just tear off his dick, but, your explanation is probably more appropriate to the book.
Like, he can bond his strength, but bonding his grip is different. Like, that's a different use of his magic. Because, abstract concepts. He can also bond his speech so that he can gain telepathy, basically. He can bond his hearing so that he can spy on people on the other side of the city. And for good measure, he can bond his memory, his intelligence, his charisma. And if you can name it, he can bond it and make it 16 times better. What does 16 times better mean? Whatever the hell the plot says it means.
This could be really good, but it's just objectively not. Like, seriously, so you have this guy who can just instantly do whatever the plot demands.
Yep.
Now, somebody who hasn't read the book, and now somebody who doesn't want to read the book, like, tell me, what opposition does he actually face? Like, is there a credible threat to Mr. Onision Stalin Hybrid?
The other Mary Sue. The other best swordsman in the land who has unlimited magical powers. He just has a different set of magical powers. I shouldn't even complain. I actually like the other guy's magic powers because there are limitations.
What are the limitations?
And they make sense. It's not, let me just double all these imaginary things. It's like telekinesis.
Why isn't that guy the protagonist?
Because then it wouldn't be about the redemption of Stalin, even though he doesn't deserve redemption because he hasn't fundamentally changed. Because throughout the entire book, Dalen continues to prove that he is still a murderous psychopath.
Yeah, sodomy. I mean, on the one hand, that is a vice I can get behind. But on the other hand,
he no longer has sex with people. He's disgusted by that. The thought makes him break down and cry. But he will murder a pirate by ramming his asshole through with a piece of wood.
So he's a rapist, but not a sexual one. That's actually kind of worse. Like, am I supposed to root for this guy? What redeeming features does he have? Because as far as
he's always legal, even though it's totally legal to kill someone who's committing a felony. Don't you know? It being legal is what makes it okay. It doesn't matter that he's the one that wrote the law.
Oh, so he doesn't actually have redeeming features. That's really good to know. Such a great advertisement for this book.
Yeah. Now, to actually go on to some positive aspects about the book, if you're reading it reads like a Saturday morning cartoon. And if that was all it was trying to be, was like an adventure, it would have been really. The idea of, a bad guy gets his youth a second shot at life and wants to do good by the world. And the best thing he can do is go hunt down some sky pirates. That's got plenty of potential. That's perfectly enjoyable. And that's what a lot of the story is. It's just stapled onto some bad stuff.
Yeah, like even if it was, Superman, whatever, you had the ridiculous Bond powers. If it was like Saturday morning cartoon level seriousness, okay, I'll totally buy this guy can like time 16 his grip strength and that actually has consequences in the world. Because that is the suspension of disbelief I'm willing to put into this. But the second you start telling me, oh no, he actually is a rapist, or, actually he feels like emotions, no, it stops being funny. It stops being like evil con carne.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, he tries to not tell anyone that he is the tyrant, that he's Stalin. And he instead says, oh, I'm his son. Because, he he got his youth back, and he now looks like an 18-year-old stud. Oh, by the way, everyone's very attracted to him. You can add that to his pile of good characteristics.
You know what I just realized, actually? That I'm sure is a complete coincidence. So the shadow of the Conqueror, I'm presuming, refers to like Daelus's second youth. That is like the shadow.
Well, he's living in his own shadow, basically.
Yeah.
The shadow of his crimes, because it's literally he enacts communism.
So this book is called Shadow of a Conqueror, and it is written by Shad.
Yeah, there's some alliteration there that I'm sure was on purpose.
Yeah. It would like almost be funny if the character, we're supposed to root for wasn't a despicable fuck.
Well, the thing is that, like, if his cover story had been the actual story, if this was actually about the son of the tyrant, and the son got these wonderful powers because of his father's misdeeds, and they're just, he can't, it's not like he can return the powers.
Yeah, no, that would be like a good commentary on privilege and other social justice stuff I'm too drunk to really, have an eloquent discussion about more than once a week. And yeah, you know me, this is like my first time knocking back a few vodka shots. But yeah, no, that could have been a good story, and it's a real fucking shame we don't have that.
Had Shadow of the Conqueror actually been the story of what he claimed to be, if this was the story of the son of the tyrant, and he had gotten, these magical powers through his father's misdeeds, and thought, well, I need to do something good with these powers, I think it would have been significantly better. Like, it's the weird thing of the lie in the story was more compelling than the truth.
That's a pretty shitty corner to write yourself in, because, like, you're just never going to write yourself out of it. Also, if Ryan edits this correctly, you should be seeing, like, the technical difficulties meme I made right now. It's a bunch of guys in a, like, technical bucky over, like, the classic TV, different colored lines for technical difficulties. I'm really proud of it. But relevantly to shitting on Shad's book, yeah, actually, I do think the problem with the lie here is you have had some really great opportunities to actually like do commentaries on, social justice issues, like privilege and, the responsibility of children of the oppressors. At least, as a South African, these would be like really resonant themes that we'd like. But of course, like nobody in South Africa reads fucking fantasy novels, so who am I kidding? But yeah, it's like you missed the opportunity to have a really great book by either trying to have your dark and serious story run on cartoon logic, or having your cartoon story have this dark and serious gravitas, which, as far as I can tell from James's pissed off description, it just did not fucking earn nor deserve.
Pretty much. Now, all of that said, there are two takeaways. First, Chad had 7 editors that he paid good money, and it still came out like crap. So the next time, dear listener, when you pick up a self-published author's book and it has issues, paying someone to fix them would probably not have. You cannot edit your way to a better story.
Yeah, I think also the problem is if you have 7 editors, they're all going to take you in different directions with your work. Like, editing fiction is already fucking difficult to begin with, because you're not editing just for standard quality issues like, grammar or formatting. You're editing for plot, characterization, atmosphere, and so on, which is far more subjective. And also just seeing Shad, or the character that Shad presents in his YouTube channel, you can just tell that, is this guy seriously going to take the advice of 7 different people for his, brainchild fantasy novel? That's also based on Minecraft fanfiction? No, he's not.
And then the second takeaway. There is currently a graphic novel adaptation in the works by Mike Miller, who read the book, liked it, and said, "Hey, how about me and you work together, and I'll do I'll turn it into a comic." And that's going to be coming out. And I honestly
Okay.
think the issues are so glaringly obvious to someone who's been around the block a few times that they will be actually really reasonable to have the issues sanded off and a much better product come out.
Well, that could be good. Yeah, I think also if it sounds like it deserves to be in comic format because
Oh yeah.
yeah, again, you can write action. I mean, James, you write action like millions of light novel people write or consume action. It's not impossible. But if you're really going to run things on cartoon logic, you might as well have cartoon imagery to go with it here. It's like we're already laughing at this thing. Might as well be a clown.
Got some
Also, I just
good
looked at the
assets coming. Let's say that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover of this thing, which I've pulled up on Goodreads and then got bored and looked at something else. But the dude on the cover has a blue sword. Do you know who else has a blue sword?
It's a diamond.
Minecraft Steve.
Sword. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, look, dude, at least change the color. Make it a green sword aside.
All right, let's wrap it up before my headset dies again.
Okay, cool. So, this has been the Unreal Press podcast. I've been LA Labuschagne. If you want to read about things that have absolutely nothing to do with this, that's including low quality, my books are better. Check me out. If you want to read about things that have things to do with this, but are also good, check out James Craig. Until next time, I don't know, like unsubscribe from Shadiversity. I'm not trying to start beef, but we would, win in optics if there was beef. Just saying.
This was actually a convoluted query for a job. Chad, hire me. I can fix your story.
He just wants a free Gambison. He won't work. Cheers.